Good evening. It is, oh, geez, it's not quite six
Nope.
o'clock. It's February 24th. Sorry, we kind of jumped the gun there a little bit. That's all right. This is regular meeting of the Conservation Commission and Inland Wetland Agency of the City of Norwalk. Could I have roll call, please?
Good night.
Here.
Lisa Elm,
Here.
Steve Pocky,
Here.
and Paul.
Here.
Therefore, Worm.
Thank you very much. Public participation. Do we have anyone who has called in to discuss any topics?
We do not.
Okay, great. Then on to receipt and or discussion for receipt and discussion S 26-662 26 Cannon Street.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to start off with, well, do you guys have, I'll just send it over to the applicant. Miss Breslin has arrived. Um, if you could just start with a location map for the commissioners and then explain your project. Or if you don't have a location map, I can quickly show an aerial.
We do have some plans prepared, so we're just gonna do a brief intro and then get started um with the plans if that's okay.
Um,
Sorry. All right,
Good.
well, all right, thank you. So good morning, all. My name is Jennifer Martinez Torres with Woodard and Curran. We're the design engineering firm on this project. I am accompanied by my colleague Reed Heaton. And we're here on behalf of the City of Norwalk Department of Engineering to present the proposed drainage improvements between Glendenning Street and Cannon Street in Norwalk. We also have Paul Sotnick with us, who's part of the city. I'm gonna share my screen now. Just make sure I can. Uh, Please let me know when you have it.
Is everybody's background backwards? Because Paul, I keep trying to figure out where that picture is taken in Norwalk, and I realize it's flipped. Reed, your background is flipped too. I don't know. Sorry, anyway, keep going, Jennifer. Just so
Yes, I did also notice it, which is why I changed my backgrounds.
did you?
Um,
Okay, cool. I'm
okay,
not
yeah.
crazy. Cool.
Okay, so tonight we'll provide an overview of the project purpose and we'll primarily focus on the work occurring within 100 feet of Betts Pond Brook. So the work that's proposed near Betts Pond Brook is necessary to accommodate a larger stormwater conveyance system that will reduce upstream flooding while also improving the stability and resilience of the outfall area. Specifically, this is the project there. This is Glendenning Street here. This is Cannon Street here. The existing drainage system that we will be improving goes from Glendenning Street, goes through these properties, down Cannon Street, and then outfalls to Betts Pond Brook. So moving on to the next figure. So generally our project overview is there's an existing 36-inch reinforced concrete pipe that goes from Glendenning to Cannon Street that we will be replacing with a 48-inch reinforced concrete pipe. At the connection in Cannon Street downstream, that changes to a 6x6 reinforced concrete box culvert. The existing infrastructure in Cannon Street to the outfall is a 36-inch RCP.
What's an RCP?
Sorry, reinforced concrete pipe.
Ah,
So that continues, as I said, at this connection to Canning Street, down Cannon Street before it turns to outfall into the Betts Pond Brook. So now I'll hand over the mic to Reed so he can walk us through the outfall improvements and the impacts to the upland area.
And I can give you guys a rough idea of where we are. It's at the intersection of Lane Road and
Yes,
Sawmill,
this is
just
Lane.
below the intersection.
Yeah, so this is
And
Lane and this is Sawmill here.
this project is being done at the request of property owners. We've had chronic flooding up there for years, and 18 Glendenning and 16 actually get water in their houses.
Reed, can you take us through the outfall and the impacts?
Sure. Maybe it makes sense just to look real quick at a picture of the existing outfall.
Sure. This one is
Yeah.
better. Yeah.
So the existing outfall exits to Betts Pond Brook. Um, it is proposed to be removed, which is the work-in waters that's going to be required for this project, and then a 6x6 box culvert with prefab wing walls will be installed set back from the ordinary high water mark. So if you want to pull up the proposed plans, Jen.
The
Yeah,
site plan, this one?
yeah, maybe just go straight to the plans. Um, so the work in waters is there at the existing outfall. You see where the turbidity curtain is placed at the brook. And then there's the proposed outfall with some riprap for scour protection. So this is set back from the ordinary high water mark, one, to prevent placing any riprap or scour protection in the stream, and two, to allow for the additional flow from the larger pipe. Um, so this area would be restored with riprap at the mouth of the culvert, seeding around the area, and then at the end of that riprap, some native material that would be comparable to what's in the stream bed, because we don't anticipate vegetation growing there in the water path. And that is the overall work in waters.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Jen, is there anything else you wanted to share with us, or Paul, before I open up to commissioners for questions?
One thing I can
Yeah.
mention too with this project that we are doing, you may recognize from a couple of years ago when we were here related to the bridge crossing that's right at the intersection of Cannon and Sawmill Road. That particular project, the catch basin and that to the head wall was not connected to this system. They're two totally separate systems. That's why we did them separately. It allowed us to do the bridge first and then come back and do this when we got the funding for it.
So can you guys remind us what protocol is for what I think is probably my biggest concern, which is how this will increase, or how it will affect Betts Pond Brook, both upstream and downstream. Right. So, I mean, the problem is that you got too much water up in the neighborhood, upstream from where I shouldn't say upstream, but up the pipeway that you're reinstalling. So all that water is going somewhere, and that somewhere is right here, where it's connecting to Betts Pond. So can you remind me of what the, DPW does for the calculations and all that stuff?
We do go through calculating and checking to make sure that we do not flood anyone upstream or downstream. And Woodard and Kern has put those calculations and packaged together for us, so I can let them elaborate a little more on that. But one of the things that we are very concerned with is that any infrastructure improvement projects, that whatever we do up with a new pipe this size, it doesn't end up flooding people downstream. So they've analyzed it from, and I can let Jen and Reed talk a little more about that, analyzed it and determined that basically it will go into the stream, but will not cause flooding for anybody downstream or upstream.
Yeah, we completed a citywide stormwater analysis based on the existing drainage infrastructure. And based on that analysis, we have proposed projects throughout the city that will improve flooding in some problem areas. So in this particular area, which was identified as a high priority area, we basically did the analysis using our hydraulic model. We input basically what this new system is. So the increased pipe, the 48-inch that then goes to the 6x6 to show that it dissipates, not entirely, of course, but it mitigates the flooding in the problem area that was identified in that Glendenning, Cannon Street area, and that it doesn't make any sort of flooding upstream or downstream worse. So that we have a model that basically we've been coordinating with the city for a few years now, where we use it to evaluate and just analyze what any new drainage improvements we do in the city and how that would impact the system overall.
And Woodard and
Let's,
Kern has a dynamic model
Mhm.
that they run that basically shows in different colors when the flooding starts and before existing conditions, and then what it'll look like after, so that it determines that basically it's not going to end up causing additional problems. And one of the key words that Jen had mentioned, this will mitigate but not totally eliminate flooding. It's to try and mitigate it as much as we can.
got it. And now, is that something, Alexis, that we should have on file as part of this application? Would it be, you're muted.
Sorry. It's certainly something that you can request to be added to the file. Absolutely. I mean, kind of a drainage report would provide you at least some idea of the size of the watershed that this drainage system captures, and then its relative placement within the larger watershed. Yep.
Yeah, if you guys don't mind, it's not that we don't trust you. It's just that it would help us have a complete application.
Okay, so a drainage report that basically shows the pre and the post, essentially.
Yeah,
Okay.
the pre
And
the
just a
post.
summary that, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say pre and post, and so not just obviously Public Works focuses on alleviating the flooding conditions in the locations that are contributing water to the pipe, and I'd say the wetland agency is obviously interested in helping that situation, but at the same time would like more information about the analyses that were run for the additional kind of quantifying the additional input that's going into Betts Pond Brook.
And we'll make sure that we can get that from Woodard and Kern and provide it to you.
Thank you. Ms. Knight?
Yeah, on that topic, does it show also like in various storm scenarios with varying weather intensities, the report?
It will, yes, because the analysis is done for various storms and
Okay, great.
25-year storm.
Great.
Thanks. On the topic of wetlands, I see a wetland delineation summary as part of the application, and just to summarize, soil types were investigated and no wetland soils were found in the work zone.
That's right. Just Betts Pond Brook. No
So we have a
wetlands
water course,
identified.
but no wetland.
Right.
Okay.
At least on that side of the water course. Right.
Good point. And are we, yeah, I don't think we're concerned about farther up, like between all the properties based on,
Farther upstream of in Betts Brook, or
not upstream, I mean, up the pipe.
Up pipe.
So we're cutting through a bunch of backyards, right? To do this.
No, so
Well-
that is owned by the First Taxing District, I believe. So that's kind of a small park where the shaded, where the outfall is.
No, I
and the
mean
rest of
like
the-
at the other end of this system where it starts.
Those are all non-wetland areas.
Cool. Ms. Knight, thank you.
Hi, I just had a question because I see it says on the thing, it says wooded, but it doesn't have any trees specified in there. But I see that there's some pine trees and a maple tree. Are there trees in there that aren't demarcated or anything that needs to come down to facilitate this?
I was gonna ask the same question. Good call.
Yes, there's some shrubs at the top of the existing culvert, and then to the west, there's some wooded area. Um, you can sort of see it in those pictures that Jen has. Um, but from talking with the team, there's what they see as two mature trees that might need to be taken down to perform the excavation of the existing pipe. Um, and those are kind of west of the alignment there, the existing pipe alignment. And the team has been looking at avoiding them. But if you move the alignment to the east, there's an existing sewer line. So there's no moving that way. And then to the west, I believe there's some overhead utilities that they were trying to avoid. So, and there's more woods to the west. So kind of, yeah,
Yeah,
go
as you
ahead.
go further to the west, it gets more and more wooded with more trees.
So I guess my question would be, so do the drawings, they don't show the trees that are coming down right now?
Those
Yeah,
were
we
not
have
picked.
I'm
we had
looking
a
at the set.
sketch from someone in the field of the two mature trees, um, but they're not. Yeah, we don't have them symbolized here.
Okay, so I guess that I would request that first. It's always good to know, like Catherine was alluding to, what's going to be destroyed as we do this work. And then in a follow-up to that, I would ask, how can we maybe redo or replant in a way that can replace what we took down?
Commissioner Clocky, that's a perfect lead in. I just working with Sarah Cruz in the engineering division. What we're doing is obviously with the new chapter 112 from a couple years ago for trees. Anybody that does work is required to get a permit. So we are actually issuing permits for city projects too. So we'll be issuing a tree removal. If it meets the criteria and it's on first district property, they'd be posted and go through the proper posting process. And then a permit would be issued. But in order to secure the permit, the contractor that actually puts the chainsaw on the trees has to be a licensed arborist, have the proper insurance and bond in order to get the permit. So this drawing that you're talking about that would symbolize the trees would also have a series that would have an X through the two trees that would be the tree removal drawing. And
Okay.
then it would have a replacement that would show replacements to be done. And with the new tree ordinance, the attempt is to try and replace them inch for inch.
Sweet. So I guess the only question is, will that come later or can that be part of this application?
It, I would say we could probably add it for the application for the next meeting because that way there, it's made part of the bid package that goes out to bid, which
Perfect.
is what we're looking to do with all projects throughout the city. That way there, we are in conformance with the chapter 112 requirements.
That's awesome. Very good. That's sweet.
We're looking to do a similar type of thing. We come to the Conservation Commission as a city for a city project. It would be the same kind of thing for a tree removal permit related to a city project.
Very good. Okay. That's all I can really. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Vinette.
Yes, being that it's stormwater coming off the streets and being put into the brook, is there any filtration system in there before the water exits?
We have the riprap is intended to dissipate energy, and there's going to be some filtration with that, but we don't currently have like a an established filtration system upstream of the outfall. No.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess that's a good question. What can we expect?
Well, go ahead. Oh, you want to?
Well, one of the issues with this is that we have a full size 6x6 box culvert. So to be able to get a online system, it would be a little more difficult because you'd have to basically take the system offline, run it through, and then back in. But then you get capacity issues with those systems also.
And I'd also like to point out, everyone, as you see, in terms of collecting the street water, there are catch basins attached to the system, as you can see right there in the picture. And all those catch basins will have sump pits in them.
Yes.
The purpose of sump pits are to collect any debris, whatnot that could settle through there. That's a part of our regular system and a common practice within any type of drainage construction.
And Jim, can you just explain who you are real quick?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm Jim Meehan. I'm the principal engineer for the Department of Public Works. So should have started off with that. I apologize. Yes.
Well, so no problem. Thank you. So Paul, were you, I mean, and Alexis, maybe I should start there. I mean, I want to respect the question and the intent of the question within the framework of what we can expect as an agency and what is typically done in this situation.
Yeah, so typically you have not seen water quality improvements proposed where there's an existing stormwater system that's being upgraded. Not always, but it certainly does add a significant cost. And I would think that is probably the main driver. As Mr. Meehan mentioned, the water gets into the system via catch basins. Those will have deep sumps, which will collect sediment. I don't know if they have bells on them, all the bells and whistles, for trapping of floating debris, but otherwise you get into kind of an initial cost and then a maintenance cost that is again, I'm not Public Works, but Jim might be able to better speak to the limited amount of budget that is available for maintaining the system just for its water quantity needs. And once you throw in water quality maintenance, it gets even more. And I know maybe Jim can talk to what the city does do for water, as far as maintenance of the stormwater system. It's not that it's an unmaintained system.
So yes, basically what happened, as stated before, the catch basins, as the concern is for street water itself, the catch basins themselves tend to have their own filtration systems with the sediment basins. The box culvert that we're proposing over here is basically updating an existing system. So it's not really introducing any new debris into there other than the catch basins themselves, which to our particular point, when the rainwater goes into the catch basins, the sediment will be heavy enough, will sink into the sump pits. And then periodically our maintenance crews go out there and they will just maintain them. And they'll vacuum it out. They'll do everything and clean it out periodically. If we have determined that the particular situation, most of them tend to be kind of standard. If for any particular reason there's concern that, hey, listen, this particular area could have more debris. Let's say we have done those in the past. We would tend to treat that as long as it's feasible to increase the size of the sediment basins, the sumps that are in the basins themselves. With that, I'm not sure if this particular region calls for that, but that's certainly something we could look into, provided that there's depth to put in more depth of the sump itself. And if we could do that, then we could do that, make sure that it collects any additional debris.
Okay, I think there's actually a little more depth to just like to Paul's question, but and thank you for that response. We'll keep going and maybe we'll circle back or maybe these guys will address it. But let's see. Elise, you had your hand up, then you dropped it, and I think go ahead.
I think
that's right.
Miss Knight raised her hand
Oh,
first.
okay. Did Catherine get you? Okay, Go ahead, Catherine.
Oh, she can go. I guess I just have a question on the runoff because is most of the runoff that's getting pulled in here coming from the road or is it from other things? Because normally, when we have, I just wonder if there's a different burden that residential and commercial runoff systems have to have over and above the city. Um, just trying to understand that. And then, there obviously are issues of water quality going into the brook with a lot more road runoff that is a little bit concerning.
Elise, does your comment springboard off of that?
I wanted to know if it'd be possible to have some type of remediation plan included in the application. I did see that it said it's unlikely that there'd be any temporary impacts, but I think it'd make the commission feel a bit more comfortable knowing exactly what those impacts might be and, what the care will be after the fact. I mean, having an explanation about the catch basins is helpful, but even in terms of the planting, removing 2 trees, if we're at all, interrupting the plants that are already there, perhaps even a planting plan would be helpful and even, helpful to the purposes of this application. For example, adding more vegetation for a rain garden of some type that might actually benefit the project itself in terms of the flooding. So just seeing that in consideration would be helpful, especially in context of the flooding and how it's affecting residents in the area.
Thank you. Ms. Breslin?
It was actually sort of going to be my point as well. Where the pipe exits right now. Steve, you spoke to this before, but about the impact of downstream from there, and it's a fairly, I believe it's a pretty low-lying area down there with more water being pumped through, and the where it comes out right now is the banks are really, really eroded, as are the tree roots are bare and everything around it. I live across the street. So I'm familiar with it. I just would like to see something, if possible, set up with more of just if we can restore it a bit. I think it will go with plantings. I think it'll go a long way towards hopefully mitigating flooding. Right now, it's pretty much dips down like this and everything's eroded out.
Well, I'm confused though. So we're not changing the profile of Betts Pond Brook. But is that what you're suggesting? Can we maybe, Jennifer, could you flip down a couple pages to the pictures? Because I don't live across the street, so I'm not familiar.
Yeah, the work on the banks will be limited to just that area at the existing outfall.
The park is to your left here, is that right? Well, wait, no.
It's to the left.
Cannon Street is to the
to the
left.
north.
I'm like
Yeah.
this.
This
I
is
just
Do you live along Sawmill?
Sorry?
Do you live along Sawmill?
No, I live across Dry Hill, so
Okay, you're coming right across Sawmill from where the entrance of the pipe is. So
right.
the cannon is to the north and the park is to the north. In that area there, that's all the First District Park. Exactly.
That's to the left, right, Paul?
To the left, that's
To the
correct.
left, yeah.
Okay, so Heather, what do you, yeah.
No, my point is that is there going to be increased output from the water here from the new, I mean, I would assume considering
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah. I mean, the whole point is to
Right.
increase the size of the pipe so you get more water through it.
Right. And my concern is that when we get here, when the water gets here, it's a fairly flat or eroded out banks over here. And so
I see.
yes.
So Jennifer alluded to it where they're pushing the head back. What do you call that part?
the head wall.
The head wall.
Head
The
wall.
head wall and
Pushing
wing
it
walls.
back
Okay.
into the slope and providing riprap, kind of a runway for, I'm probably putting words in these engineers' mouths, so forgive me, but providing a runway to slow down the water before it enters into the brook.
Right. Okay. And I would assume that's where the trees are coming down as well, potentially. And if so, is there a planting plan? I just sort of wanted to echo what Elise was saying, if there's anything that we can do as far as replanting or
Yeah, so
planting better, improving.
yeah, Paul had said that they're happy to, well, they will be doing a tree replacement plan, but we said it'd be nice to be in this application, so he's going to do that. So I guess
Okay.
Paul, what I'm hearing is maybe just a step above just your replacement plan. It's a request to look at a way to enhance the area even more to make it more resilient than it is now.
Yes, that was my question. Sorry if I missed that. I've been trying to like turn this map around on my screen to figure out where I am for like 10 minutes. So
It's okay.
Matter of fact, one of the trees, see where the turbidity curtain label is right there?
Yeah.
And as part of the box culvert, when we were doing the work on the repair of the bridge, you'd asked us to put the tree in right above where it says curtain. That's the tree that went in as part of that project.
Okay. Yeah.
So
All right.
yeah, we can definitely put together something. We can work with Alexis to come up with something between Sarah Cruz and Alexis and I. We can come up with a planting plan that we would recommend and then provide it to you.
great.
Thanks.
I heard two questions, and I think you've already said that you'll get that to the commission before their next meeting. So one has to do with the construction phase and some replacement of vegetation lost or and mitigation of the grading associated with the new head wall. And then the other, I think, will be taken care of with the drainage report, and I presume. So this is an existing. I just wanted to confirm there's an existing stormwater drainage system here now. Are you proposing any additional kind of expansion of its kind of area of contribution, additional catch basins, or it's just the pipe size is getting larger to increase its capacity?
The pipe size is getting larger.
So there's no new gray inlets in the street, for example, or in these backyards.
So
For
the
example,
air
right there.
so the area that's draining into it isn't increasing. It's just that the pipes are currently too small to carry that water during certain storm events sufficiently so that residences are getting flooded. And so you're not going to be increasing the area of capture that contributes to this system, but the size of the pipe will be increasing. Is that a accurate statement?
Believe so, right, Jen?
Yes.
Okay.
And Commissioner Clocky, you described it exactly right, providing a little bit of a runway so before it gets into the brook so that the water, the velocity can be dissipated, and then it goes in and it isn't going in nearly as fast and it won't erode like what everybody is expressing that they're concerned about.
Yep. Okay, and then so great, we're tying up loose ends here. Now to tie up the one that that Paul started. So we received comments lately about how we need to treat all applicants equally and fairly. And so, you know, a lot of times in a development, for example, we will expect a parking area to have a drainage system that includes, you know, a sort of filter system to catch. It's not only sediment and debris. I think it's, you know, runoff. It's oil dripping out of cars, things like that. Even, you know, so I understand that to do that across the entire city would be bananas and incredibly cost prohibitive. I guess I just want to verbalize that it's something to consider. I'm not sure it's something that we can enforce as in adding, you know, more protections for the water quality. But I'm happy to hear other people's input. And Mr. Vinay, please.
So maybe either Paul or Jim, you can explain the city's MS4 program and how it works.
Yes. So all municipalities within not just the state of Connecticut, but most states, or all the states really, have what's called MS4 program. That's it's a quality control for stormwater output. It's required by both the state and federal level. FEMA requires this. So we have a system where we're basically are inspecting outfalls. It's testing on a rotational basis over a 5-year period. Norwalk is actually considered to be very one of the leading municipalities in the state of Connecticut to implement this process. We currently have as a separate one, we have a entire department over at WPCA that one of our engineers is in charge of this. They monitor any type of pollutants that are taken out of outfalls. It's a monumental task in the city of Norwalk, as we have so many outfalls. I believe the number, and I could be wrong by this, about in excess of or approximately around 15,000. So it's done on a 5-year rotational period, inspected, tested. Any issues that there's various ways that it's actually done through inspection results, but if there's any issues with pollutants themselves, not just simply to Commissioner's point of sediments, but actual pollutants, the MS4 is actually responsible for that. So if this is constructed the way it is, we're going to be inspecting this periodically. That's what is going to be happening with that. That's going to be added to our list of outfalls. I mean, it already technically
should already be on there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because there already is an outfall. Yeah, they're just going to be continued monitoring for that. But this one, along with every others, will be added to the monitoring system that the MS4 program is currently undertaking.
And just so everyone's on the page, the outfall is when the storm sewer system discharges into a body of water, right?
And I should have clarified that. Thank you, Commissioner. Yes.
All right.
Or daylight somewhere else, right?
Thanks.
In this case, it's the head where the head wall is, as you see over here, right where Jen is showing that. That would be considered an outfall. It falls out into the open area.
Thank you. Catherine?
Hi, yeah. I think just to go back to the filtration, like I understand the cost and that, it's not factored in and there's maintenance and everything like that, but not doing it also does have a cost and a real environmental long-term impact. I mean, we've already seen a lot more scientific reports coming out from people that are monitoring the acidification of the oceans. And we've already broken through the barriers that they said would be really catastrophic on that. And so we either like start taking efforts to clean it up or we don't. I mean, it's a choice. And what that means is the costs are going to come in other ways. We'll see it in terms of adding feet to sea level rise above climate change, because the stratification of the ocean layers, the water becomes less dense or has become less dense, which impacts the water currents, et cetera, warms the ocean faster and creates all kinds of other system impacts. So I think, I don't know the numbers in terms of what the long-term costs are, but we know that it does have a cost in terms of not managing the pollutants that we're putting into the water system, and water quality does have a huge cost for us down the road.
Thank you,
I'd like to
Catherine.
piggyback on what Ms. Knight is saying. We're having to take training, and in the training, they did, address that cost should not be used as a reason to dismiss an alternative. And the alternative here being filter out the pollution before it goes into the stream and then into the Norwalk River and then down into the Sound. We're trying to protect the water, but also all the animals and wildlife and the entire ecosystem, downstream of this area.
So what would thanks guys. So what would that look like, Jim or Jennifer or Paul or actually Alexis, go ahead, jump in, please. You're muted.
So I just want to so I know that the chief of operations isn't here, and I can hear her like in my head. So I'm just going to say some things that I suspect she would say if she were here. And I'll start with, obviously as your wetland agent, I agree that water quality improvements are essential. But this is the Vanessa part. The I wanted Jim to talk about the MS4 program because the city does invest a huge amount of resources into that program, working on its drainage system. And most of what contributes to the drainage system is non-point source pollution, which we've all heard about. Those are kind of like the general areas where there's runoff, right? But once the city has a pipe system, the EPA considers it a pipe discharge. And being a pipe discharge, the city is then in charge of doing what it can to improve the water quality coming from those pipes. But the roadway is a portion of what contributes to those pipes. But I'm hoping that the drainage report will show that it's actually a fairly large kind of a watershed, and it includes all the residences or schools or whatever that's within the drainage area, the small watershed for each drainage area. And that's one reason why when you have new development in front of you, there is always a stormwater management plan, in part because the Public Works Engineering Department is fulfilling its requirements for reviewing all new development and all new impervious surfaces as required by the MS4 permit. And that's required because when you have new development, you're increasing the amount of impervious surface. When you increase the amount of impervious surface, you're going to decrease the amount of impermeable opportunities and increase runoff. So for this project, they're not increasing runoff, which is different than, say, if you were looking at a new house development or a new business. They are taking generally, a lawn or a forest or a woodland and are changing that into an impermeable surface. And that's why they're generally required to have not only retention, but also water quality improvement. And I think what Vanessa would add is that, Norwalk has over 280 miles of roadway within its boundaries. And all of that roadway, water runs downhill no matter what. And so all of your drainage is going to end up either in a stream or directly in the harbor and the sound. So just to kind of put it in that scale, that's a significant. So that's why, and I definitely always encourage you, as far as the Inland Wetland Agency, to be kind of consistent. And but that consistency comes like when you're looking at apples, you always treat them as apples. Every once in a while you get an orange or a banana. And I think that a municipal road drainage, or not road improvement, but a drainage improvement, is a very different beast than new development that's being proposed.
And to add to what Alexis is just saying too, on the properties when they're being developed, the layout of the parcel is done with those pieces of equipment or treatment systems on the property in the road here. And Jen can kind of scroll back over to what is the left a little bit. We're going to have to relocate a gas line in this. We barely missed the water lines and the sewer lines. We are lucky that we don't have to do anything with them. So there's not a lot of real estate without having to go get an easement to put it on, say, the First District property, because you'd have to come out at the end of the pipe and put it through a system that's big enough to handle the flow in the 25-year storm and then take it back into the culvert so you don't have two outfalls instead of one. So basically, there's not a lot of real estate to put some kind of a treatment system either. And some of them can get very large.
Okay. Thanks,
So
Paul.
to Alexis's point, it's apples and oranges a little bit.
Okay, other commissioners, additional questions? All right, so
It goes into it. Sorry, just the Betts Pond Brook goes into another pipe before entering the Norwalk River, also, doesn't it?
Downstream.
Yeah.
Yep. It daylights and it's piped, and it's daylight and piped multiple times before entering into the.
That's what I thought. Okay,
the
thanks.
Norwalk
Just
Harbor.
sure.
Yep.
Okay. All right, we'll thank the applicant for their time, and I suppose you'll be in communication with Alexis over the next couple of weeks until our next meeting, which is March 10th. And Alexis, assuming that you think that the updated plan, especially with regard to trees and landscaping, aligns with the feedback commissioners have provided. Hopefully you can have a draft memorandum or resolution, and hopefully we can vote on it then. Does anybody have any other questions? Otherwise, we'll move on. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to have us tonight. We appreciate it as always.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Night. All right, moving on to S26-661, 5 Witch Lane. Witch Lane?
Lane. So this is a pending application for a 2-lot subdivision on Witch Lane. I think the applicant's representative is here. If Attorney Such, if you want to just give the commission a brief update, and then we can go over the logistics maybe.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Carachetti and Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Liz Suchy of Carmen Torrance, Sandak, and Hennessy, and I represent Kristen and John Maloney, owners of 5 Witch Lane. We did meet with Alexis and Representative CPW and Planning and Zoning last week to discuss the 2-lot subdivision. We're working on a revised plan that I think we shared last week that showed a dwelling on the eastern side of the brook with no crossing. And we're now working on pulling that structure as far away from the brook and giving a buffer between edge of the dwelling and that brook. We have a couple of other issues we have to work out with planning and zoning, and it relates to ownership of the adjoining right-of-way, things of that nature. And I think that if we adjust the plan and propose a dwelling on the eastern side of the brook with a significant distance from it, will also resolve issues that Public Works has raised. We're not there yet. We're working on it. So I just wanted you to be aware that that's what the status was. Those were the discussions we held last week, so that you are not wondering if this is just languishing without any activity. That's all I have to share tonight. If the commission needs an extension of time from us, which I suspect it will, we're happy to grant that. And I'll work with Alexis as to when she needs that and what amount of time we could ask for so that we could keep the items on your agenda. That's about it at this point.
Okay. Thank you. We didn't make you wait as long tonight as we did last time.
Perfectly fine. Not a problem at all. But I'll work with Alexis on the extension if necessary. And also when we finally do return, we will have a analysis of the wetlands that exist, their values and functions and impacts that may be occasioned by activity that we propose. But we'll be back before you, hopefully shortly.
Okay.
So without an extension, you'd have to, so you still haven't made the determination whether it's a significant regulated activity or whether it requires a public hearing. But if we'll just do like worst case that it does require a public hearing, without an extension, your deadline to hold a public hearing would be the March 24th meeting. So I guess at the next meeting on March 10th, I'll touch base with you, Attorney Suchy, if we haven't already, just to see kind of where you are on the 10th and figure out then if an extension is warranted, and then we'll kind of work backwards and see if the time frame for the commission to act still fits within the time frame that your team needs to gather the information.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Liz. Good night. Acceptance of minutes from February 10. Anyone?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Can I have a second?
And I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Conservation initiatives. Any hot topics?
I will add the city received a grant a while ago now in the 2022 grant round from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation to do a flood resilience citywide plan. And that has started. Ms. Knight is on the steering committee. And we hired a consultant, and they are looking at existing risks and starting to do their background work. And the city will be hosting a listening session at March 11th, which is already 2 weeks away. So we're scrambling to put together some advertising materials for that. But once we have that okayed, we will be sending that out. Just want to announce that. That's just city staff hosting a listening session, kind of wanting to understand geographical areas where people think flooding is bad, or really anything, how flooding has impacted them. What services do they think are most impacted by flood events? Is it riverine flooding, coastal flooding, kind of all of those things. And then we'll be launching an online poll, recognizing that not everyone can spend Wednesday evening with me. And we'll have an interactive poll up starting on the 11th as well.
Could you, when you start distributing that information, could you loop us in so that we can share it with our various contacts?
You will be getting a copy. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Anything else? Well, you'll get another chance, Alexis. I don't have a report as commission chair. How about you, senior environmental officer?
That's the main thing that's on my plate at the moment.
Okay. Anyone else? You're muted.
Thanks, Steve. I like that you knew I was talking to you all. I have a question. This is not related, but it's just curiosity because of what we were talking about with the stormwater treatment. A lot of the snow removal that has been going on, are there guidelines that are followed? Because to my just my observations with my eyes and no knowledge of what's going on, but there was, for example, my Vets Park, right, my favorite place to go bird watch and whatever, there's a ton of snow being dropped off there, disposed of. Obviously, that goes directly into the water.
So there are guidelines and rules. The state of Connecticut did waive a lot of those rules for this storm.
I figured.
So municipalities across the state are having trouble finding areas to put snow. So yes, but I'm just looking up so Commissioner Dykes did invoke her authority to allow in-water disposal of snow by municipalities until further notice. So that is something that is regulated by the state when they choose to.
Was this not in effect the last storm?
No, it was not waived at the last storm.
That's what, and we got the same amount of snow. That's where my confusion and sort of what I noticed today happening was not happening last time. And I saw it just essentially being dumped into the river. And it was a little concerning to me, honestly. So, okay.
Interesting. Good for you for noticing.
I mean, good for me or
It's interesting. It never even occurred to me.
Yeah, they're dump trucks dropping it all off load after load all over Norwalk today, just dump trucks everywhere. And I get it. I mean, I think that was probably an issue last snowstorm was that there was nowhere to put the snow, and so it was staying in the way. But my concern is just this is how we get a lot of stuff in a river in a short amount of time.
Yeah. Truckload at a time. Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that was more commentary from the audience than
Yeah, it's great. We'll say that was under conservation initiatives, just slightly out of order. It's fine.
Okay.
I don't have anything else to add. Does anyone else? Okay, then I'm going to move to adjourn the meeting. May I have a second?
I'll second it. Well, me and Heather both second it.
Paul can have it. Paul's on a roll. Thank you, Paul.
All right, we're giving it to Paul. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay.
I'm gonna go